10 illegal questions that your employer may not ask you in 2024 if you're an immigrant, employee, and job seeker. I'm an immigration lawyer, Marina Shepelsky, doing this work since 2002, but this is a very frequent question that arises when you're a new immigrant and you may not know all the American rights that you have as a job seeker, as an employee, because federal laws in the US are complex and there's a lot of them, and they especially protect people against discrimination and unfair violations of like privacy rights. And people from other countries are not always aware of these issues. So this is really good to review, to understand, and to keep track of, because if one of these is violated, you have a right to make a complaint about this employer or potential employer, and even sue for damages, have a lawsuit, compensation for damages. So let's get right into it. The number one illegal question is to ask you, how old are you? What is your age, or what is your date of birth, or what year were you born? Age is a protected category, and although they can verify if you are of legal age to work, it could be 18 or 21, but other than that, just to make sure, like if you're a young person, they do have to verify if you're old enough to work in the company, but like they can't ask you if you look older, for example, how old are you, to eliminate you from like the competition because you're too old or too young for a job, as long as your age is age appropriate. 2, they can't ask you about your race, your ethnic group, or your national origin. They can't ask you, hey, you look Asian. Where are you from? What kind of Asian are you? That's illegal. They have no right to ask you about your race, ethnicity, or nationality. 3 is your religion or ethnic beliefs. Now, you can volunteer, for example, if you're Muslim and you want to know if they have like a special prayer room, you can ask it, but they cannot ask you. 4 is your gender, your sex, or sexual orientation. They can't ask you if you're gay, LGBTQ, trans, or whatever. It's illegal. They have no right to ask you anything related to even your gender. Are you a woman or a man? Do you identify as female, male, or anything else? They can't ask you your pronouns. Although if you are hired, you can tell them what your pronouns are, your preferred pronouns, and you can include that in like your email signature or something like that. But they can't ask you. 5 is your marital status. Are you married? Are you single? Are you divorced? Are you widowed? And your plans to get married, or like your plans for children. Which takes me to number 6, pregnancy or family planning. Put it this way, even if you are huge, you're a woman and you're very pregnant at the time of interview, they have no right to ask you, when are you due? Are you having a baby? Do you have children? How many children do you have? Do you have a babysitter for your children? That's illegal in the United States as of 2024. Next is your disability status, like do you have a disability or medical conditions, unless the condition is directly related to your job performance with accommodations. So like they could ask you if it's a job that requires running or standing, about your ability to do this work. 8, they cannot ask you about your immigration status. There is a small exception for like federal jobs. In some federal jobs, you have to be a U.S. citizen. But generally speaking, like a private employer or even the state employer cannot ask you about your immigration status unless they're asking you if you're authorized to work in the U.S. This they can ask you. They can say, do you have a work authorization? Do you have authorization to work legally? They could ask you for your social or your ITIN and run you in the system for U.S. immigration to check if you are able to work legally. But generally speaking, they can't say in a job ad only permanent residents or citizens can apply. That's illegal. If you see it, report them. You can make a complaint. 9 is your criminal history. They're not allowed to ask you, have you been arrested? Have you gone to jail? That's illegal. They have no right to ask you. And number 10, and the last on my list, is your military discharge status. They can't ask you if the military fired you, did you leave for medical reasons, did your contract expire. They can't ask you how did you leave the military, but they can ask you about skills you may have learned in the military. That they're allowed to ask you. Again, all of these laws help prevent discrimination and protect the candidates' privacy rights. And for many immigrants, these might be surprising that they're not allowed to ask you, especially people always get surprised to learn that they can't ask you your immigration status, right? Are you a green card holder or U.S. citizen? They're not allowed to ask you. But these are definitely working in your favor. Write in the comments if you've ever had an interview or a job application where they violated one of these, and tell us your interesting stories related to employment for immigrants. Meanwhile, we are here to help you with every complex or simple immigration question. We are here to help. Give us a call, Shepelsky Law Group, immigration lawyers for all 50 states today. Thank you.